Jack, sweetheart, can you run down to the basement and fetch me some more flour? I asked my son, who had just come downstairs for breakfast. He plopped himself down onto one of the kitchen chairs and shook his little head. No, I can't. I craned my neck to look at him from the pancake mix bubbling on the stove. He seemed fidgety and pale, not at all like his usual self. Why not? He stared at me, his eyes wide. There are ghosts in the basement, Mum. Don't be silly. Ghosts aren't real, sweetheart. Or even if they were, they only live in really old abandoned houses, much older than ours. Jack became very silent, watching me as I poked at the batter in the pan. That's not true, is it? His voice was earnest and eerily calm, sending chills down my spine. Of course it's true, I assured him. Think about it. What is a ghost? Jack thought for a moment. Someone who's dead. And I nodded. Yeah, exactly. No one has died in our house. We bought it brand new last year, remember? So we can't have ghosts. How do you know? My heart skipped a beat and I turned to look at him again. For a 7-year-old, Jack was an incredibly deep thinker. A quality that had the capacity to both impress and unnerve. How do I know what? How do you know that no one has died in our house? I tapped the spatula against the edge of the pan. Well, wouldn't we know if anyone had? Hey, darling, can you just please go and run down and get that flour for me, please? These pancakes are just breaking apart. There was a pause. No, Mum. I sighed impatiently. Jack, your father's downstairs, the light will be on. Go on, there's no ghosts, just trust me. But Jack sat there, kicking his little legs under the table, visibly uncomfortable. This had never been a problem in the past, and I couldn't really think of any reason for it, aside from some silly horror story his friends had probably told him at school. Look, how about I call your dad to come and get you, I said, making my way towards the basement door. No, Mum, no, don't. He jumped to his feet, dashing after me and gripping the hem of my apron. Don't call Dad. Why? His eyes welled up with tears. I don't like him. I stared back at him. You don't like him? What? Why? He's a bad person. What? How can you say such a thing? He stuck out his bottom lip. He's very angry. He's not angry, sweetheart. What made you say that? Well, Jack sounded hesitant. Yesterday, after school, I went down to the basement to ask for some help with the pasta, and he was yelling at a lady, and then he hit her. I froze. What pasta? What lady? He hid his face in my apron and shook his head. I don't know. I put my hands on his shoulders and kneeled in front of him. Jack, can you tell me what happened? My husband was a stay-at-home dad and normally spent his time tinkering in the garage. His only responsibilities were keeping the house tidy and taking care of Jack after school. I always worked late and usually came home long after my son went to bed. Dad always has a new lady in the basement when I come home from school. I'm not allowed to go down there, but I hear them. He says I have to get my own dinner, but last night I forgot to turn off the stove and some water got on my arm. He pulled up his sleeve, revealing a large area of scorched skin on his forearm. I stared at it, and then at my son in bewilderment, my throat closing up. And then I went downstairs to tell Dad, but he was busy with the lady. He got really angry when he saw me. I didn't know what to say. My heart was thumping fast in my chest, making me feel lightheaded. What happened to the lady, Jack? I whispered. He bit his little lip. I don't... She lives in the basement now. They all do. My blood ran cold. Stay here, Jack. I'm going to talk to your father. No! Jack grabbed my sleeve. Mum, you can't go. Mum, no. Baby, I have to. Don't worry, the ghosts won't get me. I just need to find out what's going on. No, you can't go. He kept repeating, frantically tugging at my blouse. Dad said you're not supposed to know about last night. I stared at him. What? This is important, Jack. Your father is supposed to be taking care of you. Jack crumpled to the floor, burying his face in his little hands. I'm afraid, he said. I'm afraid that if you tell him, he'll make me return to my grave.